Hey y'all, welcome to the Devon A. Morris Unfiltered call-in show. Have a seat. Let's get ready. You have any questions? Come on, call in. Come on to that Discord channel. Do me a favor, get the unfiltered crew some finger snaps. We're ready to get started here. Mondays, 8 p.m. Every single Monday, we're here. I'm excited about it. Are you? Let's get this show started, y'all. The greatest Scrum show on earth. I'll see y'all soon. Enjoy. Bam. Hello. All those nice sounds, right? So welcome to the Unfiltered Call-In Show. Devon A. Morris here. Just looking to enjoy this time with you. So welcome to the show. First and foremost, today's topic is really ScrumMasters are cheaters. Why not you? Right? That's our topic for today. How we kind of operate here is you are welcome to phone in. I say phone in to digitally call in to the show. I will make sure that I provide the actual link for that in a moment. You're welcome to add your questions to the chat. How we operate here is we talk about a topic for about 10-15 minutes. So around 8:15, 8:20 is when we'll open everything up for you to join us. If you join us in the green room, it's all good. I'll bring you on in the order that you come, and you can ask questions. So this is all about having a conversation. It doesn't just have to be questions. It can be comments that you have. It can be an experience that you have. You can come in and teach me something. I'm looking forward to it, right? So we talking about Scrum, entrepreneurship, Agile, all those kind of things. So love to have a conversation with you today. Now, that being said, let's talk a little bit. Kind of what's going on. This week I got a nice little ACM, Advanced Certified Scrum Master, that's happening. And then I probably got a little bit of time off, so then I can recover, right? It's been an interesting past week. My aunt, kind of had a cardiac arrest moment, and she's recovering, so that's all good. Got the daughter off to college. She's had an amazing week. She ain't really talking to nobody, but it's all good. Nobody's complaining, right? I guess that's what happened when you first go to school. Kids don't talk to you, but that's all right. I'm used to it. It's happened to me before, so it's not a big deal. In terms of what else is going on, man, I ain't just trying to get it back together, man. You know how you just go hard for a period of time and you just go hard, right? I've been going hard for family for the past few years, right? And so realistically, just trying to dial it back and figure out what this new life looks like. Some of you all, dreaming about that later. Some of you all already have it, right? So do me a favor. If you're here, you know how it goes. Drop me a note in the chat. Say hello to me. I love to see your hello. So whether you're on LinkedIn or you're on YouTube, please join me. I'm going to say also like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. I actually never say that, right? But I need to say it. So like and subscribe. It's going to help to join the channel, and it doesn't really cost you anything to just like and subscribe. So please do that as you continue to move forward with this content. Also, another thing I want to tell you is that this is where the Scrum Education Unit, right? So coming here, joining this is a way to earn and renew your certification. So if you plan to renew your certification or you plan to travel up the Scrum path, right? Maybe one day become an Advanced Certified Scrum Master or a Certified Scrum Practitioner, or maybe even a Certified Scrum Trainer. All those things are in your future as long as you decide to go after them, right? It's completely up to you to go after them, okay? So really, really, really important. Extremely important. So I'm feeling good here. I'm feeling good about, at least the things that are going on. I am going to just say hi to people real quick. Jennifer, thank you. My aunt is doing better and better. I drive all the way up to Chicago, man, and then I drove back Friday back down here. But this is what you do for family. You take care of family. So that is what it is. So, my Aunt Trisha's good. Let's see. Jamila, you was in class. I remember you in class. we share daughters. And we don't share daughters. We share daughters' names, right? So I remember that. You have a Layla, I have a Layla, and they're spelt the same way. That's a wonderful thing, meaning dark queen, right? Sarah, here's the deal, Miss McClellan. I got your girl through the class. Hopefully she's good now, right? Hopefully she's good. Got your girl through the class. Hopefully she's good, okay? So, Candace, how you doing? How's it going? All right? Doden, we talked last week, didn't we? How you doing, brother? How's it going, right? Hey, Tiffany, how's it going? So, that being said, looking forward to becoming a part of the community. You know what? Let me tell you something, Tiffany. I'm looking forward to you becoming a part of the community, too. I'm trying to be a part of the community myself, if I got anything to say about it. I'm really trying to be a part of it myself. No. We keep it simple here. We're here every Monday, just really having this conversation and really just kind of building a community here that I think is going to last us. The good thing is we're creating videos that other people can benefit from. And I really like seeing that people look at these videos at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to have to start splitting the videos up to make them smaller, but maybe I need to get a team to help me. My kids all know Scrum. So one of my sons said this to me. Like literally, my son said this to me this week. He said that I need to start using Scrum on the show so we can do things with the show. What do you all think about that? Do you think I should start using Scrum so we can start growing the show? I mean, I did that before and we grew the show. We really did grow the show when we did it. When we first started, we did Scrum for about 3 or 4 months. I had a few volunteers that joined me and they did an amazing job, right? We was doing all kinds of stuff, right? And so we kind of let that go because it didn't really serve any purpose for them to keep going. And so if the community thinks we should do it again, then let me know. If you want to volunteer, if you want to join and do some Scrum to make some things happen, make this channel grow, I'm willing to do it. It just takes time, man. It takes time, right? It takes time. So if you're willing to do it, you can drop me a message, team@beardedeagle.com, or you can just drop it in the show, drop it in the chat. Let me know one way or the other. Let's see. Yeah, so that being said, no need to feel bad about anything. It just really makes sense to really do it. And it might be time to do it again. And it would actually give people in the community a good opportunity to grow. Okay, so that would be a good thing. Okay. So that being said, we have a topic of the day. So we're going to go ahead and start talking about that. And I think this is really important because, I'm going to tell you something about me. You all may not know this, but I'm a really honest guy. I really am, right? And over the years, I have seen, and even to this very day, I see people, Scrum Masters in particular, lie. Lie to get an advantage, okay? Lie to truly get an advantage. And, I'm not against anybody who does that. Right? I really am not. But the question you got to ask yourself is, you may even make that money. That's a good thing. I'm not saying you shouldn't make your money. But the question that I would ask you is this. Karma's a mug, isn't it? I mean, I would have cursed, but I don't know if YouTube allows that. Karma's a mug, right? And so I would guarantee you that the people that really truly don't go about approaching it that way, they approach it in a way that I'm going to recommend to you today. I guarantee you that the people that utilize the strategy that I'm talking about today will end up in the long run being in a much better position. See, what you have to understand is I'm not a certified Scrum trainer because I cheated my way through the door. I didn't. It's blood, sweat, and tears in becoming the first Black certified Scrum trainer. Okay? There's blood, sweat, and tears in that, right? There's the going in and just being the first to do it. You understand? And there's getting doors shut on me. You know, having a company that having a company that when I put people of lighter skin tones on my ads, more people buy. Okay? It's just an odd world that we live in, but it is the world that we live in, right? But when you cheat, you really cheat yourself. You really put yourself in a position where you likely are getting a short-term advantage that is not going to benefit you in the long term. Do you understand? I want you to really hear me when I say this, right? Because I need you to understand that short-term benefit that you get from actually cheating the system is going to bite you sooner or later. It's crazy because it's going to dig in you at some point. So you got to make a decision on what kind of person you're going to be within this Agile work. I mean, I'll tell you the truth. Do I think the signers of the Agile Manifesto really signed it altruistically? No. I think they signed the Agile Manifesto because of money. But I think it's turned into something much bigger than any of them could have ever imagined. And you know what? It's turned that way because of you. You all have taken these values and principles and Scrum and Kanban and turned them into something that has changed the world. That's what you've done. And we've done that without cheating. Whether it's just lying a little bit on your resume, it's going to come back and bite you. Do you understand? It really is. So I have people that come here that's always new. Always new people come here. I'm going to tell you the secret right now. Put the work in. That don't sound easy, right? Put the work in. Read the books. Write some articles. Run some experiments. Somebody do me a favor. Hashtag put the work in. Put the work in. PDWI. But it's duh. It's not the. Duh. Put the work in. That's what you need to do. So hashtag PDWI. Throw that in the chat for me if you hear me, if you understand what I'm saying. Now, why do I say to you that you should put the work in? Because I put the work in. And I have benefited tremendously from putting the work in. And due to the fact that I have put the work in, guess what? You get the benefit from that. You get the benefit from that. Do you understand what I'm saying? You get the benefit from that. It's extremely important for you to benefit from that. Hannah, I will try to send a video from the class this weekend. I got this weekend, but, when I get some time later on this week, okay? I got your email. I'll get it for you. I'll get it for everybody in the class, okay? But the idea isn't complicated. Put the work in. Let me tell you my example so you understand what I mean by put the work in. Some of you all know that I use Scrum for a little bit of everything. I use Scrum for a little bit of everything. And what I did to change my trajectory is I use Scrum on me. Let me say that one more time. I use Scrum on me. See, I tell this story sometimes in class that I remember when I went from a company called Capital One to a company called USAA, and there was about 15 coaches there. And I was the youngest of all those coaches, and due to the way my grandmother taught me, I firmly believed that people that were older than me had to have more knowledge and experience. So I was intimidated. Do you understand? I was completely intimidated. I said, there's no way that I can be smarter or have more experience in this thing than them. And I definitely didn't have the experience. But guess what I had that was important to me? I had the tenacity. Learned that in my fraternity. I had the tenacity. Do you understand? And so with that intimidation that I had, with that fear that I had, I took a hold of that fear and I did something with it. I decided to put the work in. That's what I decided to do. And how did I put that work in? Well, hell, I'm here teaching people how to do Scrum. I'm here teaching people how to do Scrum. So why not use Scrum on myself? So I decided to run these one-day sprints, right? Well, in the morning I had sprint planning. Right before lunch, I have a daily Scrum. Before I leave for the day, I have a sprint review and sprint retrospective. Every day. You understand? Every day. You know what? I'm including the weekends on that, right? Because fortunately for me, I was blessed enough to have went to San Antonio because I had a grandmother at that time, great grandmother. She was paralyzed from the neck down. And I remember getting the interview to go to USA. I remember getting that interview, right? And they hired me that same day. 2 weeks later, I'm down there where my grandmother is, and I got to see her every day. My great grandmother, I should say. So it was a true blessing for me to be able to go to San Antonio. And so with that blessing that I received, I decided to put the work in. And so I did Scrum on myself every day. And every day I came out with actionable action items to find some things to improve. Now I guarantee you right now, a lot of you all is right here trying to do whatever it is you're trying to do. I guarantee you not doing that. How you going to forget yourself in this whole thing? How are you going to forget yourself? You got to make the temple stronger. That's what you got to do. That's what you're here for, right? Let me tell you what it turned into. I started off with 2 teams. Right next to each other, I would take over the executives' windows. That's what I would do. And put our car walls on their windows. I was getting on everybody's nerves, but I didn't care. Because what I did is I shut my mouth and I delivered. Because if there's one thing that trumps everything else, it's delivery, delivery, delivery. And so I just took my 2 teams, and I delivered, and I delivered, and I delivered. That's what I did. And you know what it went? It went from 2 teams to them giving me a 200-person portfolio. And if you ever been in that building, I was way down in A building on the 2nd or 3rd floor. I don't know what floor I was on. And they gave us a whole little section, and I had a portfolio of 200 people, 17 different teams. And we delivered the first mobile app that you would deposit a check in the bank to solve a problem for people in the military. You understand? So it was purposeful, and that started the whole mobile banking movement. I was there. I was on that. I did that. And you know why? Because I put the work in. Because one thing that you got to understand is people don't get it. It's not about how long you've been a Scrum Master. It's not about how long you've been an Agile coach. It's really about the density of your experience. Somebody throw the word density in the chat for me. If you understand what I mean, either throw an amen or a density in the chat. It's about density of experience. And what happened for me is having those 2 teams, I learned a tremendous amount of stuff. You can't replicate that. You can't lie about that. Did you hear what I just said? You can't lie about it. So now, when I'm in my classes or when I talked to Ken Schwaber in 2007 at the Scrum gathering, and he looked at me like, are you interested in being a trainer? And I look at him like, I really can't be you. You're like God to me. I wasn't ready to be a trainer then. I didn't feel like I had any stories to tell. And so I told myself, go get your stories and come back. I came back 6 years later. So when I say to you, it can be done, and it can be done without you needing to turn your back, and put your hand out to get your check. Did you hear what I just said? It can happen without you turning your back and sticking your hand out to get your check because you're ashamed. Because you're ashamed. You know what I'm saying? Because you're ashamed. I'm just saying. So, I say to you, cheat as well. I say to you, cheat too. But you cheat with substance. You cheat by getting the knowledge and getting the experience that it takes for you to be able to be the greatest. Be the greatest. The world's greatest. Matter of fact, you know what I'm saying? See, because what you have to understand is I want you to be better than me. I want you to go further than me. I want you to stand on my shoulders and not embarrass me. No reason why you shouldn't make me proud. Because I have no problem giving you knowledge freely. No problem with it. One day I'm gonna start a mentoring program. I done pulled ScrumFit out of it, and Lizzie's doing a couple things with it. And we're probably gonna just take ScrumFit and turn it into making you fit with Scrum. That's probably what we're gonna do. So this is serious, people. So on that note, like I said to you earlier, don't be the only one that doesn't cheat. There's a way for you to cheat and be able to look people in the face with no shame. And your long-term gains will be far better than all those people that cheated. Mine have been. Mine has been. And I know yours can be. On that note, that's it, y'all. I gotta start taking questions, right? So here's the deal. We're gonna open up the lines for any questions that you may have, any experiences that you want to talk about. We'll be here as long as you want to be here. I ain't got nothing but time, because guess what? I'm an empty nester now. We could do this all night. We could do this all night. I ain't got nothing else to do. I done drove all the way back down here from Chicago, so I'm kind of good. I'm wide open, baby. I'm wide open, okay? So, that being said, here's the deal. As I always will do, let me drop some information on you. So first and foremost, LinkedIn, you now have the chat number. You're welcome to join that chat. You're welcome to join the show if you so decide. YouTube, you're welcome to join the show if you so decide. If you want to join the show, click that link and you'll come into the green room, okay? Now, you don't have to join the show. You're welcome to ask any questions that you have in the chat. So I'm opening up the chat, opening up the green room for any questions that you have, and we will go from there. Man, I enjoyed that. So what did I say? Put the work in. PDWI. Put the work in. You got to get it right. It's PDWI, not PTWI. PDWI. That means that's between me and you, right? That's between us. A few people that I didn't say hi to, right? Let's go ahead and run it down, right? I see Azrael here. How you doing? Saw you in other space. Patrick, as usual, how you doing, brother? Welcome. It's always great to see you. Next time in New York, we need to connect. Right? for sure. Because you just up in Connecticut and they like touching each other for some strange reason. I don't know why they want to touch each other, but they do. New York and Connecticut, I guess, right? Let's see. Evelyn, how you doing? How's it going? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing fine. Evan, how's it going, man? How you doing? Let's see. Hannah, hello. You know, I saw you this weekend, right? Marquita, how you doing? How's it going? Khaled, how you doing there? Just saying hi to everybody. Let's see. You know, Sunday. It's a good name, man. It's a whole day. Kwana, how you doing? Seen you lots of times, right? So that's a great thing. So let's see. Let's go ahead and I'm going to jump up in the chat and double check to see if we have any questions. Again, you're welcome to drop any questions that you have in the chat. And I'm going to go with this first one, right? This first one is I'm not going to go with a bunch of qualities because I think you all can figure out qualities for sure, right? I'm going to go with one thing that I think makes good Scrum Masters great Scrum Masters. I'm assuming that as a good Scrum Master, you're already a servant leader, okay? I'm assuming that you know how to do Scrum. I'm assuming that you know how to do Scrum. I'm assuming that you know all the events. I'm assuming that you know all the artifacts. I'm assuming you know all the roles. I'm assuming that you do a good job at doing your good job. So I'm assuming you're a good Scrum Master. So now, to go from good to great, I think you need to run experiments. I think you need to become a master at experimentation. Now, why do I say that? Because you never know what's going to work for a particular team. So if you really think about it, every team is going to be slightly different. And because they're going to be slightly different, you don't know exactly what's going to work. So I am always running these small experiments to see what is going to work for that team. And then as you run an experiment, you get data. That data can help you make a decision about what to do moving forward with that particular team and whether you want to grow that experiment or not. A good example is the usage of story points. I've tried to do story points many, many ways. But for me to really learn how to really do it right, I had to run some experiments. And those experiments is what leveled me up, is what helped me be able to have many, many conversations with you all about what really works and what doesn't work. That means I'm having certain experiences. Those experiences I compare to other experiences and say, in the vast majority of cases, this is what happens, okay? So I really, if I have one quality to throw out there, to put on the table, it would be running experiments. Now, some people always ask, what's an experiment, right? You know, experiment could be the usage of user stories. You know, an experiment could be an idea that the team came up with. They want to try something, right? And you try that for a sprint and see how it works. So, you know, it might be a certain way that you communicate, right? So run experiments and utilize those experiments to make really amazing, wonderful, great decisions, okay? So really for me, probably the biggest thing that helped me out over the years is running experiments, literally. I wish I could say it different than that, but it's just my truth. So from a good Scrum Master to a great Scrum Master, experimentation. Now, I'm not saying experiment for the sake of experiment. Experiment on your problems. Experiment on real problems. You know, and you're going to run into tons of real problems. Experiment on real problems and use those real problems to level up. To level up the team, to level up yourself, to level up everybody that's involved. Okay? So really, really, really important. So Hannah, I think that's an amazing question. But I'll go back and say, good Scrum Master to great Scrum Master, I think experimentation is your key. Okay? So really, really important. Great question. I'm going to say, Jermaine, how you doing, man? Richmond misses you. I enjoyed Richmond. Glen Allen. I had fun in Richmond. I met some amazing people in Richmond that I'm still friends with today. And I think I say this sometimes. I actually, while I was in Richmond, I do a bunch of family tree research, right? I've been doing family tree research since I was 8 years old, right? And so I've been doing genealogy since I was 8. So I'm actually a genealogist by trade too. It's probably the longest job I've had at this point. So anyway, the point is, I'm doing genealogy. I go to the Library of Virginia because they got all this information, right? And so my family lives in Southern Virginia. Where my grandmother on my father's side, she's from Southern Virginia, someplace called Broadnax, which is close to South Hill, about 10 miles north of the North Carolina border, right? Is what you're running to South Hill and all other stuff. So it's about 10 miles north of it, right? And so I had a situation, man, where I got to meet one of the descendants of the slave owner that owned my family in in Virginia. Yeah. I got to see the lands that they were slaves on. My family owned some of those lands too, right? So I got to see the lands where they were slaves on. I got to see the grave of the man that owned them, and he was a state senator, not a U.S. senator, but a state senator he was. And that was an experience, y'all. That was an experience. So anyway, maybe one day we can have a show about genealogy. I don't know. But that's one of my experiences. I always run into that. So I love Richmond. Richmond's has some great history, and it's just sitting in the center. Like from Richmond, you can go any place and experience almost anything. Like literally, it's an amazing thing. I almost decided to kind of establish roots there. I literally thought about that. I thought it was nice. Kid from Chicago. All right, so that being said, when am I holding the next Scrum training? The truth is, I'm probably not holding another Scrum training until the beginning, Certified Scrum Master training until the beginning of September. So look for it in the beginning of September. I'm going to run a 4-day CSM. It's going to be probably 550, 500, 550, something like that. Because I decided to take the prices down. And then people would, so it's like I was doing hardship classes for about $250, $350, and then classes for like $800. And so what I said to myself is I want to be fair to everybody and come somewhere in the middle. So somewhere around $500, $550 is what I plan to do for a lot of classes. And then what I'll do for the advanced classes is add $200, $300 to that. So and then that's come down in price to about half the price of what it would normally be. So what I'm doing literally is that. So then everybody can have the opportunity to take it, because I kind of don't think it's fair that people with hardship get the advantage, right? Because people with hardship had an opportunity to actually get involved with Scrum long before they probably had hardship. So I don't want to kind of disadvantage the people that don't have a hardship, right? Because I think it's only fair, right? So look for it in early September is when it's going to be the next one, because I'm not going to schedule another one. I'm going to do a weekend one and a weekday one. There's a weekday that's a 2-day one, but that's the one I may change to a 4-day because I have to level out my work for school. So I'm thinking about that. I'm going to make that decision. Marquita, I'm going to make that decision within the next 24 to 48 hours. And if you go to beardedeagle.com, you click on training, you'll see the whole list of training, okay? That's going to be there. So give me 48 hours and I'll have it updated, okay? I'm just recovering from everything. And it's been a real busy 2 weeks. And so I got an ACSM that's happening right now. And so I normally just give all my energy to my classes. But, give me 2 days and you'll see more stuff up, okay? So, good question. Thank you. Next question here, right? Nobody's joining me on the show? Come on, man. I'm lonely. People could at least come in and say, hi. I'm just joking. You don't have to come in and say hi, because I know you don't love me. It's all right. Evan, how you doing, Evan? How's it going, man? Let's see. Hey, Devon, I just wanted to know, how did you find out about Scrum, and why did you decide to become a Scrum Master? Man, that's a good question, man. The truth of the matter is, I'm gonna tell you what happened, right? I'm at State Farm. Literally, I'm at State Farm. And what happens is, toward the beginning of my time at State Farm, there's a guy named Tom Miller. He was around the show last week. And I consider him to be my Scrum godfather, okay? And I'm literally in a class, and understand my title. I was what was called a project planner, okay, at State Farm. I was a contractor, but I was a project planner. Tom Mellor was a project manager, okay? And so what they did is they paired up, with the project manager, a project planner for a particular project. So Tom and I are taking we're in class to learn the waterfall process that they have spent 2 or 3 years working on, so they can establish this throughout the entire organization. So we're literally sitting in the class. And here's what Tom says to me. Tom says, we're not going to do this. We're going to do Scrum. And I was like, I've heard of Scrum, but it's free. Why are we going to do that when they telling us to do this? And Tom was just like, we're going to do this. Here's what you need to do. You need to go take this class right here with Ken Schwaber. I said, this dude is crazy. I said, he's crazy. And he was an older white guy, right? He's an older white guy, so he's senior to me, and he's not super old. But, I respect him, no doubt. I respect him tremendously, but I thought he was crazy as hell. Because I literally just came from Allstate. I came from Allstate, and I couldn't change nothing at Allstate. I couldn't do nothing at Allstate. And this dude, now understand the thing. At that point in time, State Farm was 25% of all cars on the street insured, right? All cars on the street, 25% of them was insured by State Farm. Allstate was barely half that size. They were like 12% of the market, while State Farm was 25%. So even though you look at them as 1 and 2, State Farm is a big dog, right? And so I'm down there in Bloomington, Illinois, and I'm sitting in class with him, and he's literally like, we ain't doing this. I'm like, I'm game. So I spent the $1,400 and went up to Chicago, took the class, and it changed me. It literally changed me. Now, Tom Mellor, he's my guy. I mean, he's literally my guy. I don't ask him for nothing. Because he gave me all that I needed, right? But I'm just a young guy trying to figure it out, right? And he introduced me to that. And he was working with Ken Schwaber much closer. I mean, like if I was to say, as I said to him last week, I said, Tom is my Scrum godfather. And then, Tom said, well, Ken Schwaber is his godfather, which means that Ken Schwaber is my great godfather. Is my grand godfather, I should say. Not great, grand godfather, right? And so, it's one of those things where I got introduced through somebody because he wanted to see State Farm do something. And even though the executives wasn't with the program, we actually delivered the first Scrum project at State Farm. Now, my problem is, as I left, because I wasn't going to win at State Farm. I was a contractor and a project planner, and they weren't going to let me become a project manager. So I left so then I can, do my career. And at that point, right after I left, State Farm did this blow up in terms of Agile. I mean, a big blow up where a lot of people came in. They had big transformation happen, everything else. But I went over to Capital One at that point in time, right? Because I wasn't going to be able to make any moves. I was not going to be able to make any moves at State Farm. And what happened is, I was already studying to become a PMP. I had become a PMP in September, and then in October, I became a CSM in 2005. That's the order that happened for me. PMP, CSM, okay? And so that right there, kind of put me, in a place, right? So I was like, man, this is where it's at. And so I'm over here like, oh man. And see, what you have to understand is that when I looked at Ken Schwaber and he was standing in front of the room, I swear there had to be 100 people in the room. And he had my complete attention. And I said, I just want to do what that guy does. Like, I literally want to be him. Like, literally, Ken Schwaber, I want to be you, is what I was saying in that class. And when I tell you, my life was never the same after that point. I mean, it's like, how people say somebody walked in with an aura? Well, as he was talking and as he was saying what he was saying, he got this aura on him, and I was just like, this man is the man. Because I didn't know how people could do that to companies, right? These big companies, right? And go in and be a rebel and make change happen, like be a change agent. I did not understand. I was absolutely clueless. I was like, you just follow the rules, and if you follow the rules, you'll get to where you need to go. but it's the change agents that make things happen. It's the disruptors that make things happen. And I just couldn't believe what he's saying, man. I really couldn't believe it, right? And so literally, that's how I fell into Scrum. Okay? And so, literally, I kid you not, my ex-wife now, but I went to her, and literally, I'm a PMP and a certified Scrum Master. I'm both of them at the same time, right? There's a consulting agency that sent me a letter. I had an interview with them. They sent me an offer to double my salary. You understand? They sent me an offer that doubled my salary. Now, I had to beg Allstate to give me $10,000 and they wouldn't give it to me. They wouldn't give it to me, right? So I left them. I'm over at State Farm like I'm trying to figure out the world. And then this consulting organization that's trying to get people on at Capital One just came and literally gave me a little quick interview and then literally put an offer on my table the same day. Double. So I took that dang on thing to my wife at the time and I put it in front of her and I said, look, take a look at this. And she grabbed it and she said, okay, you got to go. That's exactly what she said. She said, okay, you got to go. That's exactly what she said. I kid you not. She looked at it and said, you got to go. And I remember driving, like we went to a family reunion down in Arkansas. I had my daughter Layla with me and we drove from Arkansas, like wherever her family's from, but it was somewhere around Little Rock. We drove from Little Rock to Richmond, Virginia. Sadly, we was actually going through a divorce at that time. But that's what ended up happening, right? And then I was kind of freed up in Richmond. But literally when I say to you, that's what happened, man. It blew my mind. Because it was like the PMP CSM combination was just magical. And then my title, I went from project planner to agile project manager at Capital One. And then Capital One was doing their movement too. So they were in the thick of their movement. So then I got to meet a bunch of people that, became big time as well. So, and during that time, I just did what people would tell me to do. Like I literally did what people tell me to do. Tom said, go to the Scrum gathering. So I had to, I literally went down to visit. I had buried my grandfather the year prior. So I drove down to Mississippi, from Chicago to Mississippi, so I can go visit the grave. And then I left there and drove to Denver, Colorado, because I think it was in Boulder, Colorado. I drove to Denver, Colorado. Like, I'm just driving these things, right? Because I'm like, I'm going to go to everything that Tom tells me to do. So, like, for you all that have received your certified Scrum Master from me, I like what was said in the chat right there. So that makes Tiffany a great, that makes Ken Schwaber a great, now I say just a great godfather, because he'd be my grand godfather. He'd be my grand godfather. So if you go with your grandparents, and then you go your great grandparents. So he would be my grand godfather, and then he would be y'all great godfather, and then we go greats after that. Okay, so that's how we're gonna work it. So for y'all that's connected to me, Ken Schwaber is your great godfather. Your great grand godfather. I love it. I'm telling you, I really love that. I'm gonna get me a shirt that says it. You see this? Bearded Eagle stuff? Man, I got everything stitched. I got my name everywhere. As a kid, I used to get my initials on everything, right? And my initials is like DAM. So I put it on everything I could, because I couldn't get in trouble for it, right? So yeah. So I would say that's your lineage. Absolutely, that's your lineage. And so you should definitely be very, very proud of that, okay? And so don't be surprised. Don't be surprised, Evan, when I say to you, that's how it flipped on me. Man, I'm not lying to you, man. I could not believe it. I was begging and pleading folks for stuff, man. And it just went like, bam, like that. And I was just like, this cannot be real. This cannot be real. And then when I went to Capital One, it was so many people that was willing to teach me stuff, man. And all I would do was just suck it in and just try my best to work and work and work and work. And they would give me books to read, and I would read them immediately. And I would just do this, and I would do that, and I would go try this and try that. I mean, so literally, it was a real learning ground for me. So literally, the first 2-3 years of my life, my Scrum life, heavy learning. Heavy learning. It wasn't about the money. It was really about heavy learning. And I just kept falling into great opportunities. And if I fell into something, I turned it into a great opportunity. I found a way to turn it into a great opportunity. Just so you all know, right? So this stuff didn't just happen overnight. It happened over time. And I didn't really start training. Well, I trained Scrum, yes, inside of organizations, but it was bootleg Scrum. I didn't become a certified Scrum trainer until 2013. Right? And so literally from 2005 to 2013 is when I, was really building my portfolio to become a CST. Okay? And hey, and I went and showed them that I belong. That's what I said. I'm one of your peers. I belong. And I went and showed them that I belong, and I'm a CST for that. I remember walking into my interview for a certified Scrum trainer, and man, I went in suited and booted, man. I went in just like my grandmother would expect it me to. She had died in 2006 or something like that. And I went in, when I say suited and booted, I think it was 2005 when she left. But I went in suited and booted for that interview, man. And part of the interview was that you would have to train. You'd have to train in front of these 5 trainers, people that's already trainers. And what they do is they give you a topic and say you can leave and go get your materials together. And then come on back when in 5 minutes we're coming back. And I said to them, I said, look, man, I don't need none of that time. Y'all gave me the topic. I'm ready to do it right now. All I need is this piece of paper right here. And I can teach you everything about this topic that you need to know. And then I trained that topic. And you get 5-10 minutes, whatever it was, and they get to answer questions. And I remember I made one little mistake. I said in there, and they tried to get me for it. I literally said, sometimes you can have sprint planning on the first day. And then they tried to throw me off topic. And I just kind of squashed that. And then once I squashed it, everything else was a breeze. And so, literally, I don't walk in like, look, I think this is going to happen. I walk in like, this is mine. So my philosophy to every single one of you all in the room, if you're going after something that you want, claim it. Claim it and go get it. You understand? Claim it and go get it. Okay? So, Jamila, yes, I would agree with you. I like the 4-day class too, because one of the things that the 4-day class does do is it allows the information to marinate. Because one of the things about the 2-day class is so much information. It's so much information. And I have to skip over some topics in the 2-day class, right? The 4-day class, we're able to get through all those topics and allow you to take a moment to breathe. And I really like that about the 4-day classes. So I'm going to start leaning toward the 4-day classes. When we go back to doing classes in person, I'm not going to do 4-day classes like that. But in terms of this, I think it's an excellent thing to do, right? I'm doing a 3-day ACSM right now. And right now, I can feel that that's better than doing it in 2 days. So I'm probably going to do that in 4 days too, okay? So that's a good thing. That's a plus, okay? All right, so then I got, let's see. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, Godfather. Okay, I'm a Godfather too. Oh, now you're making me nervous. Like, you're making me nervous. Like, I need to become a made man. Anyway. All right, so that being said, let's continue the conversation. All right, so let's, the next question here by Azrael bin Israel. All right, so the daily scrum, some don't see the value, thus do not do it daily. How do we optimize the daily scrum as a scrum master so that the dev team isn't wasting time and is making the most out of it? It's a real easy answer. Don't show up. Like, the developers can do the daily scrum without you. And matter of fact, if you look at the Scrum Guide 2020, it says only the developers should be there. So the problem with the daily scrum is that it has become not so valuable to the developers. And the daily scrum should be about synchronization more than anything else. So when you think about it, Azrael, if you are giving your information about what you've done so far and what you're going to do next to meet the sprint goal, I should be synchronizing my work based on where you've been and where you're going. All the rest of us should be synchronizing our work based on where you've been and where you're going. That's what we should be doing. And realistically, if you've ever done a daily scrum, you will notice that most people in the daily scrum are not talking. Well, no, let me rephrase that. That the scrum master's not talking and the product owner's not talking, okay? Because they don't have anything to add to it. Does that make sense? Because most of the things that you're talking about, the main purpose of the daily scrum is to synchronize around the sprint goal. You hear me? Synchronize around the sprint goal. The only people really truly working on the sprint goal is the developers. So I always, even before this happened, I would go ahead and try to find a way to escape and leave the developers alone once I knew how to do it. So you make sure the developers know how to do it and you let them utilize whatever format works best for them. And if you just get out the way, they will normally make it as productive as possible for themselves because they don't want to waste their time either. And a lot of times the daily scrum will take them less than 7 minutes. Like they get in, boom, boom, and out. Because realistically, what you want them doing is collaborating so much that maybe they don't even need a daily scrum anymore. Maybe they don't, right? So what I would say to you, the best way to optimize it is to get yourself out the way. To truly get yourself out the way and allow them to be able to do it. If you get yourself out the way and allow them to do it, that's the best way. And even before the Scrum Guide would say this, a lot of times what I found is that when you are there as the Scrum Master, people start relying on you. Like almost to the point where they don't want to start the meeting without you. And I would, in the past, and you know, my throat's always been, since I had that COVID thing, my throat's been funny, so I always drink a little honey. So what ended up happening is I would find ways to disappear. I would literally find ways to disappear so the team can learn how to do it without me. It's kind of like what you do with people you love. What you want to do with people you love is make them as independent as possible. You really want them to be self-sufficient, be able to do everything without your help. That's what you really want to do. And in this situation, I consider them to be a loved one, while I just make sure that I take care of that for them. Does that make sense? So realistically, if you go ahead and rock that, I think you'll be good. And yes, I am doing some turmeric and I'm doing some ginger as well. You know, I'm taking those good Jamaican things and I'm doing that stuff, right? So yeah, and turmeric is probably more Indian. But that's how you need to think about it. If you think about it in that way, I think you'll be golden. Okay? So it's really about just getting out the way. Most of the developers, all the developers are going to be adults. So adults can handle a meeting by themselves. Trust me. They've done it before without you, right? So just get them that confidence, build that confidence in them, and you'll be perfectly fine, just fine. Okay? So that's the thing about the daily scrum. Okay? Any other questions from anybody in the space? Okay? Because that's what I'm here to do, to answer questions. But that being said, it was, you know, going back to the other things that we was talking about earlier. Literally that cheating thing, y'all. Oh, let me tell you about what I'm talking about next week. I'm gonna talk about is Scrum dead? Is Scrum dead? Okay. Now, why am I talking about is Scrum dead? Many years ago, I was gonna write an article about Scrum being dead. Before I became a certified Scrum trainer, which would have been stupid, that'd have been death to me. But I'd like to get your opinions on that. I'd like to talk about it more. Because, you know, a lot of times what I see right now is the scaling frameworks getting a lot of attention. Even though they include Scrum in it, it's just kind of almost like you need electricity and gasoline as basic things to do all other kind of things. And it's like it's almost become a commodity, Scrum. You know, so is Scrum dead? Is Scrum like a commodity at this point? I don't know. But I'm thinking about it, right? And so this week I'm going to think about that and see how I feel about it. So next week is going to be a really interesting conversation. I'm actually looking forward to next week's conversation because really I'd like to get your opinion. I have certain opinions about it, but I'd like to get your opinion about it. So next week, be ready for it. It's Scrum Dead. That's what we're going to talk about. For real. And you know me, I'm not going to hold any punches. I'm literally not going to hold any punches on it. So I'm looking forward to that one, right? So again, like to recap, so then we're good to go. The topic that we talked about today is really important to my heart. And Scrum Masters is being cheaters. I would say to you firmly, the link doesn't work. I don't know what link you're talking about, Sunday. The link that I gave you didn't work. Oh. This link always works, man. That would suck if that link doesn't work because I get it directly out of the tool. So it's all right. If it don't work, it happens. Sometimes there's things I got control over. Other times there isn't anything I got control over. Just is what it is, right? Okay, so let's see. Patrick's getting complex on me. Is more of foundation, lots of enhancements to it with flow, theory of constraints. He said it's Scrum Dead. Patrick, you're not supposed to bring up the topic for next week right now? Are you talking about next week, Patrick? Come on, Patrick. You can't bring up the topic for next week. We got to save all that juicy stuff for next week. I mean, he got flow in here, theory of constraints. Come on, Patrick. Come on, Patrick. You messing it all up. You know what, Patrick? Maybe I need you to bring you on the show next week and we can talk about it. Maybe that's what we need to do. Does that make sense? Yeah. Hey, Jermaine, I got it, man. I'm going to work on it, man. Yes, I'm gonna do more of that stuff. Actually, I do a lot of it. It's just what happened is since when I caught COVID, one of the symptoms that remains is a real dry throat for me. I mean, I talk a lot, obviously, but that dry throat has remained after COVID. It's kind of crazy. And so no matter what I do, if I have a day where I'm doing a lot of talking, I mean, I've done, at this point, including this time, I've done 6 to 8 hours of talking today. So this kind of happens to me. But tonight is gonna be on because I'm gonna chop it up and make it work out better. But I got all that stuff, vitamin C, ginger. I got it all sitting right there in the room. I'm gonna make sure to make it all happen. I'm gonna make sure it happens because I got another class tomorrow. I got to finish out the ACSM. I mean, I'm not finishing it until Thursday. But I got something great that's happening. I got to go and put at Indiana University, the freshman class has a pinning ceremony. Where it's like inducting them into the freshman class. And so they pin them in some kind of way. And so it's a freshman pinning ceremony. So I'm going to go to the freshman pinning ceremony on Wednesday. So I'm going to enjoy that. I'm going to fly in and fly out, go check it out. So it should be interesting. I'm looking forward to that this week. So on that note, I think we're good, people. I think we're good. I think we've answered all the questions that we can answer for today. And we're going to do the same thing next week. So next week, we're going to talk about, is Scrum dead? That's what we're going to talk about. Even though Patrick's trying to mess it up. Grrr. You see me growling at you, Patrick? Grrr. So anyway, next week, we're going to go ahead and talk about, is Scrum dead? And then just work through it. Just work through the thought process. So bring your ideas. Let's have that conversation next week. And then we'll be good to go. Other than that, I'm going to say to you, it is always a pleasure for me to have a little bit of your time in this week. Hopefully you got some value out of this, and I look forward to seeing you. I look forward to seeing you next week, okay? I'm going to say peace to you, and enjoy the rest of your week. Make it a good one, okay? Y'all, see you later.